Name a famous Buddhist teacher. You probably thought of the Buddha himself, maybe the Dalai Lama. Now name a famous female Buddhist teacher from history. Struggling? You're not alone. Here's what's wild. Buddhism has powerful female disciples from the very beginning. Women who challenged kings, debated philosophers, achieved enlightenment, and literally changed the course of Buddhist history. But somewhere along the way, their stories got buried. Today, we're uncovering the forgotten women of Buddhism. Their stories are incredible, and they matter now more than ever. Let's meet them. Act 1. Mahapajapati, the woman who wouldn't take no for an answer. Our first story begins with a woman named Mahapajapati Gautami. You might not know her name, but you definitely know someone she raised, the Buddha himself. When the Buddha's mother died shortly after his birth, Mahapajapati, his mother's sister, raised him as her own son. She was also married to his father, King Suddhodana, so she was both his aunt and stepmother. When Siddhartha left the palace to seek enlightenment, abandoning his family, Mahapajapati stayed behind. For years, she managed the palace, supported the kingdom, and wondered about the son she'd raised. Then came the news. He'd achieved enlightenment. He was teaching. He'd established a community of monks, the Sangha. Mahapajapati had a radical thought. I want that too. Visual. King Suddhodana dying, Mahapajapati cutting her hair. After her husband, the king, died, she did something unthinkable for a royal woman of her time. She cut her hair, put on simple robes, and walked, barefoot, over 100 miles to where the Buddha was teaching. And she wasn't alone. 500 women from the Sakya clan walked with her. When they arrived, dusty, exhausted, feet bleeding, Mahapajapati made a simple request. Allow women to ordain as nuns. The Buddha said no. She asked again. No. A third time. No. Here's where it gets interesting. Most people would have given up, but Mahapajapati stood outside the monastery for days, refusing to leave. The women stood with her. Finally, the Buddha's attendant Ananda noticed them. He approached the Buddha and asked a clever question. Lord, are women capable of achieving enlightenment if they practice your teachings? The Buddha answered honestly, yes. Then why not allow them to ordain? And there it was. The Buddha had to confront his own bias, or the biases of his culture. After this exchange, he agreed. Mahapajapati Gautami became the first Buddhist nun. At 78 years old, she started a completely new life. And more than that, she founded the female monastic order, the Bhikkhuni Sangha, that spread across Asia. Buddhist texts tell us she achieved full enlightenment, becoming an arahant, a fully awakened being. She lived to be 120 years old, teaching until the end. Think about what this means. Buddhism might not have included women at all if one woman hadn't refused to take no for an answer. Act 2. Khema, from queen to enlightened teacher. Our next woman started from a very different place. Khema was a queen, one of the wives of King Bimbisara, one of the most powerful rulers in India. Buddhist texts describe her as extraordinarily beautiful, but they also say she was vain, obsessed with her appearance, constantly checking mirrors, worried about aging. When people talked about going to hear the Buddha teach, Khema refused. Why? The Buddha taught about impermanence, aging, death, everything she was desperately trying to ignore. Her husband, the king, was clever. He knew his wife needed to hear these teachings, so he devised a plan. He invited the Buddha to teach in the palace gardens and told Khema about the beautiful gardens, not mentioning the Buddha would be there. Khema came to see the gardens. As she walked, she was mesmerized by the beauty, until she reached the center where the Buddha was teaching. here's where the story gets interesting. The Buddha, knowing her attachment to beauty, used what the texts call his psychic powers to create a vision. Khema saw an extraordinarily beautiful woman, even more beautiful than herself, standing beside him. And then, as Khema watched transfixed, the woman aged rapidly before her eyes. Youth to middle age to old age to death, until only bones remained. In that moment, everything Khema had been avoiding crashed into her awareness. Beauty fades, youth ends, death comes. All the makeup, all the mirrors, all the denial in the world couldn't change these facts. And instead of running away, she sat down and listened. Khema ordained as a nun. She threw herself into practice with the same intensity she'd once devoted to maintaining her beauty. And here's the remarkable part. She became one of the Buddha's most accomplished disciples. The Buddha himself declared Khema the foremost among nuns in wisdom, the female equivalent to his chief male disciple, Sariputta. Buddhist texts preserve several of her teachings. In one famous story, a king asked her about what happens after death to an enlightened being. It's one of Buddhism's most profound metaphysical questions. She answered with a brilliant analogy. When a fire goes out, do you ask which direction it went? North, south, east, west? The question doesn't apply. The fire has simply ceased. The king was stunned by her wisdom. Later, he asked the Buddha the same question, and the Buddha gave the exact same answer, then said, Khema is wise. If you ask her about deep teachings, it's as if you're asking me. From vanity to wisdom, from queen to enlightened teacher, Khema's story shows that no starting point is too shallow for awakening. Act 3. Other powerful women. Mahapajapati and Khema are just the beginning. Let me introduce you to more forgotten women. Dhammadinna, the master debater. Dhammadinna was declared foremost in teaching the Dharma. Her most famous teaching is preserved in a text where she answers her ex-husband's questions about Buddhist philosophy. Yes, ex-husband. Visakha was a wealthy lay follower who had been married to Dhammadinna. After they divorced amicably, she ordained and quickly achieved enlightenment. He came to her with complex philosophical questions. Her answers were so precise, so clear, that when Visakha later asked the Buddha the same questions, the Buddha said, "You should have been satisfied with Dhammadinna's answers. If you'd asked me, I would have answered exactly as she did." Think about this. A woman so wise that the Buddha himself said her teachings were indistinguishable from his own. Patacara, redemption from tragedy. Patakara's story is heartbreaking and ultimately hopeful. She experienced devastating losses. Her husband died from a snake bite, her 2 children died in a storm, and she learned her parents and brother had died in a house collapse, all in the span of days. She lost her mind from grief, wandering aimlessly through the streets until someone brought her to the Buddha. The Buddha didn't offer platitudes. He helped her see that grief this intense wasn't new to her. She'd experienced loss in countless past lives. Nothing is permanent. Fighting this truth only causes more suffering. Patacara ordained and slowly healed through practice. Eventually, she achieved enlightenment. But here's the beautiful part. She became a teacher who specialized in helping other women who had experienced trauma and loss. She understood their pain intimately and could guide them through it. Buddhist texts say she had the most disciples of any nun. Thousands of women found healing through her teachings. Even devastating tragedy doesn't have to be the end of the story. Ambapali, the courtesan who achieved enlightenment. Ambapali was a famous courtesan in the city of Vaisali, beautiful, wealthy, and accomplished in the arts. Kings competed for her attention. When she heard the Buddha was coming to town, she invited him to her mango grove. The Buddha accepted, which scandalized people. A spiritual teacher visiting a courtesan? But Ambapali was transformed by his teaching. She offered her entire mango grove to the monastic community and ordained as a nun. She practiced meditation on the body's impermanence, watching her own famous beauty fade with age. And through that practice, she achieved enlightenment. She wrote a beautiful poem preserved in Buddhist texts. Black was my hair, the color of bees. Now in old age it's like bark. Not otherwise is the word of the truthful. Scented like a perfumed box was my hair. Now in old age it smells like dog's fur. Not otherwise is the word of the truthful. She transformed society's judgment, just a courtesan, into profound spiritual accomplishment. Bhadda Kundalakisa, the philosopher. Bhadda had perhaps the most unusual journey. She started as a member of a non-Buddhist sect, wandering India debating philosophy. Buddhist texts say she was brilliant. She'd challenge anyone to philosophical debate, planting a rose apple branch in the ground and declaring if anyone could defeat her arguments, she'd become their student. She met Sariputta, the Buddha's chief male disciple. For the first time, she lost a debate. True to her word, she immediately ordained. Within days of intensive practice, she achieved full enlightenment, one of the fastest enlightenment stories in Buddhist texts. Act 4. Why these stories matter. So, why does any of this matter today? Why uncover these forgotten women? Because representation matters. Because when we only hear about male teachers, male enlightenment, male authority, we unconsciously absorb the message that spiritual authority is male. But look at these women's diversity. Mahapajapati was elderly when she started. Khema was vain and superficial. Patacara was broken by trauma. Ambapali was a courtesan. Dhammadinna was a divorced woman. Bhadda was an intellectual. And all of them achieved enlightenment. All of them became teachers. All of them changed lives. The Buddha himself said, whether a woman or a man, whoever has mindfulness, determination, and wisdom, they are fit to receive the highest teachings. These women weren't exceptions. They were part of a thriving tradition of female practitioners who ordained, practiced, taught, and achieved enlightenment alongside male practitioners. So, what happened? Why were they forgotten? The honest answer: patriarchy. As Buddhism spread to different cultures, it absorbed local attitudes about women. In some countries, the nuns' ordination lineage died out entirely. In others, nuns were given lower status than monks. Women's teachings were less likely to be preserved, copied, or translated. Their stories were told less often. Over centuries, they faded from collective memory. But here's the good news: these stories survived. Buddhist scholars, many of them women, are recovering these texts, translating them, sharing them. And today, women are reclaiming their place in Buddhism. Female teachers, scholars, and practitioners are continuing the legacy these ancient women started. So, what we can learn. Let's remember what we learned today. Mahapajapati teaches us, don't accept no when you know something is right. Persist with dignity. Khema teaches us, it's never too late to change. Vanity can transform into wisdom. Patacara teaches us, even devastating loss doesn't have to be the end. Healing is possible, and your pain can help others. Ambapali teaches us, society's judgments don't define your spiritual potential. Dhammadinna teaches us, women's wisdom deserves to be heard and preserved. Bhadda teaches us, intelligence and quick understanding are spiritual gifts to be developed. These weren't perfect women. They were real women with flaws, struggles, and doubts. But they didn't let those things stop them. And that's exactly why their stories matter. Not because they were superhuman, but because they were fully human, and they achieved something extraordinary anyway. So here's my invitation. Don't let these women be forgotten again. Share their stories. Learn from their wisdom. And if you're a woman wondering if spiritual practice is for you, remember you're following in the footsteps of warriors who walked this path 2,500 years ago. I'll leave you with words attributed to Mahapajapati. Having gone forth, let us live the holy life for the complete ending of suffering. That invitation to practice, to awaken, to end suffering is for everyone, always has been. Next time on Better Buddhist, we'll explore practical meditation techniques these ancient teachers actually used. No mysticism, just methods. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And share this video with someone who needs to hear these stories. Because history remembers what we choose to tell. Let's choose to tell the truth.